Thank you, Flanell. I am back. Friends, achieving success is a journey. It's a long journey which at times is rife with difficulties and unexpected challenges. Today, we have with us one such person who has shown us that when challenges in life knock you down, it's not how hard you fall, but how high you bounce back that counts. She has converted setbacks in life to courageous comebacks and showcased to the world that the only impossible journey is the one where you never begin. Let's know more about her. Can we have the AV, please?
Sudhachandran, dancer, actor, teacher and motivational speaker. Sudhachandran is a renowned Indian classical dancer. She is a well-known actress both in silver screen and television and has acted in more than 30 movies in 4 different Indian languages. After a tragic accident at the age of 16 in which she lost her right leg, she bounced back with an artificial foot and went on to continue her career in dancing, acting and teaching. She completed her schooling in Mumbai and is a postgraduate in economics. Sudhachandran started her career with Telugu film Mayuri based on her own life and went on to receive the National Award for the same in 1985. She is also the recipient of prestigious Nritya Mayuri and Navjyoti awards. She continues to captivate her audience through her wonderful acting prowess. Sudhachandran.
Sudhachandran, everybody.
A very good evening. A very good evening to all of you. It's my honor, my pleasure to be here in front of this wonderful audience. Thanks, because chartered accountancy is something that all of us relate to. कमाना बहुत आसान होता है, उसे कैसे बचाया जाता है वो हम आप लोगों से सीखते हैं. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful trip to Bahrain. I started the conference and I'm privileged to conclude this conference too. Well, you just saw my AV which said what was my life all about. In fact, if I have to shorten it, I will say I've lived many lives in one life. It's been a very long journey, a long journey with lots of ups and downs, smiles and tears. In fact, I started my dancing career at the age of 3. Too young to actually decide whether I have to become a dancer or not. But my mother, who was a classical singer, had decided for me that if a daughter is born to her, she will become a classical dancer. And they say, what you ask the universe comes back to you, you know. So when my dad came down from Kerala to work in Mumbai in search of a job, he landed as a stenographer. He did stenography for one of the most prominent classical dancers in Mumbai. Her name was Sudha Swami. And my dad, he dreamt that if he gets married and he has a daughter, he will name her Sudha and she will become a classical dancer. So that's how my parents must have met by destiny. They got married, and as they wanted, a girl was born. I was named Sudha, and I became a classical dancer. So that's how my journey into classical dancing began. And even today people ask me, did you ever want to become a dancer? Well, at the age of 3, nobody decides. A child definitely cannot decide whether he or she wants to become a doctor, a dancer, an engineer. But I was very fortunate that my parents decided this for me. So I still remember I was too young when I was taken into a dance school. And the guru actually told my mom that she's too young, she cannot learn dancing. And my mother said, you don't know my daughter. She's one adamant type. Just demonstrate a few steps. Even if she performs 10% of what you expect, please give her admission. And that's how I started learning dance at a tender age of 3. And no looking back after that, because I remember from school, my mom used to come there, carry me to the dance school, and that's how dancing got into my blood. But they say as long as you don't lose something, you don't understand the value of that art. One small child who used to go to school, go to dance school, come back, thought life was so beautiful. But it's only after that I realized when I joined college, and being the only child, though not the pampered one, when I went to college is when I realized that dance, academics was getting a little too tough. And that's when my mother told me, she says, you need not cook at home. You need not take care of the household work. You just have 2 things to do in life. One is to educate yourself, and the second thing is to dance. And she also told me one thing, that we middle class family, as a mother of a very middle class Tamil Brahmin family, I can't give you wealth, I can give you education. And education will be a blank check that you can encash at any point of your time. So that's how I became a postgraduate with economics. So life was beautiful. I mean, there was no regret at all. But then they say when everything good happens, one break and your life turns 360. In fact, I was going to Chennai and from there to Trichy. We were coming back and we met with a road accident where most of them survived. It was a head-on collision though. Most of them survived. My father was very serious and my mother was declared dead. But being the stronger one, I realized that my mother was not dead, she was breathing. And I told the police that she's breathing, please admit her into the hospital. And fortunately or unfortunately, the driver of the bus collapsed on my lap. And he kept asking me for water, and I didn't know where to get the water from because we were in the middle of a highway. All that I could see was a small river. It was not even a rivulet, it was like a gutter ka pani that you can say, but he was asking for water and I really didn't know what to do. So all that I did was dip a little bit of water in a banyan, and last I gave him that 2 drops of water and he collapsed on my lap. So I don't know, I feel myself very lucky that at least he has gone peacefully to heaven. But when I turned back, I realized that my father was gasping for breath. And we're talking about a very human society, but it's not as humane as it looks. Because most of them got into the other bus and they all left, and we were just about 8 passengers who were struggling for life. And I still remember there were 4 boys from Delhi, and one of them was an athlete. They say God sent. He ran back from Samepuram to Trichy, which is about 45 kilometers, I think, 45 or 25 kilometers, got an ambulance, made sure that we all got into the ambulance, checked us into the government hospital in Trichy. And after that, I actually wanted to thank them, and I'm still looking out for them, but I really don't know who they are and where they are. So in every speech of mine, I say, thanks to that noble soul, because of whom we all could survive. And for me, that point of time, it was like a Manmohan Desai film. I think most of you guys must have watched Amar Akbar Anthony, and where the children get separated and they meet in the climax. So for me, it was almost like that, because my mother was in the female ward, my father was in the male ward, I was in the children's ward. So all that I kept telling is, please make sure that somehow we all meet. I didn't want us to be separated. But my father took control of the situation within 3 days. My mother was okay, and then they came looking out for me. And the moment I saw my parents is when I actually got my second life, because I knew they were there for me. And the doctor called my father and he said that she has been injured, she's got a fracture on her right femur, and there is a small cut on her right ankle. So my dad said, well, you need to do the needful. The first aid has to be given. And they were all interns at that point of time because it was the middle of the night. Unknowingly or knowingly, they had sutured my small, tiny wound without properly cleaning it, and they put a plaster of Paris for my right femur fracture. After 3-4 days, when my dad took control, and then he asked the doctor, he says, why is her thumb going black? And they said, no, it's just the impact of the accident. She will be okay. But the gangrene had already set in, which nobody was aware of. And that was the time when my dad realized that something was going wrong somewhere. He decided to shift me to Chennai. And I was taken by train from Trichy to Chennai and was admitted in the Vijaya Hospital in Chennai under the supervision of Dr. P.V.A. Mohandas, who was supposed to be the most leading orthopedic surgeon in Tamil Nadu. The moment he saw, he said, oh God, who did this to you? And me being me, I said, what happened to me? He says, no, nothing. And then he called his panel of doctors and they were discussing. And for almost about 5-6 days, they were trying to do different things on my leg. And one day when they were cleaning my wound is when I realized that the cotton bud went in from the right and came out from the left. And I had no sensation at all. So I asked the doctor, I said, Doc, what is this? I mean, something piercing through my body and there is no sensation. And that's when they told me that the gangrene had started spreading into the body. And I was actually unaware of what gangrene was. So I asked the doctor, I said, can you please explain to me what gangrene is? He says, for the moment you need not know about it. We will try to save you. So the word save was the point that kept recurring in my mind. I was trying to wonder, I said, what am I trying to save? And then they tried for about 10 to 12 days, and then my father was called in, and 24 hours was given to him. He said, within 24 hours, a decision has to be taken because the gangrene has started spreading into the body. So it was this side or that side. And for a father, at that point of time, to decide whether he wants to lose his daughter or save that or lose the limb, you know, there were so many questions in his mind. And then my mother went up to him, and then they discussed, and me being a minor, I was not allowed to decide for myself. Fate played very dirty with me at that time because I was a minor. Probably if I was a major, I would have said, no surgery, I prefer to die. But my father and mother decided that let the amputation happen and we are there for you. And my dad walked into the room and he told me, he says, tomorrow we're taking you to the operation theater and most probably it's an amputation of your leg. And I looked up at my dad and I said, why did you agree for this? I mean, I don't want to live without a limb. And he said, why not? Because I'm going to be the limb that you are going to lose. And I asked my dad, for how long? How long are you going to be that limb that I'm going to lose? He says, as long as I live. So I asked him, how long are you going to live? Do you know how many years you're going to live? And that was the day he promised me. He promised me and he said, I will not leave this world till I see you successful. And he lived up to that promise. He lived up to 86. And he saw me rise like a phoenix bird from the ashes. So I'm so proud because they always say, like people used to ask me, is he your father? I said, no, he is my appa. बाप तो हर कोई बनता है, लेकिन कोई एक स्पेशल आदमी होता है जो आपके पापा बनते हैं या फिर आपके अप्पा बनते हैं. So that was that special man for me. And he always stood like a rock of Gibraltar behind me. And he always said, don't worry, keep trying. And my mother was also, though she was not a very open-minded person, but she was the foundation of our family. She always used to keep telling me, give it a try. If you fail, you fall, I'm there for you. I will hold you, make you stand again, and make you take that first step, which will make you cover those 1,000 miles that you want to walk. So that's the family that I was born into. And today I stand here tall, high, and so proud of the fact that I am the only daughter of Mr. and Mrs. K.D. Chandran. And after that also, after the amputation, the big question mark was, what next? Well, there is a limb, you can walk with it, but my question was not just walking. I needed to dance. And that was also God sent, because in the same year, Dr. P.K. Sethi got the Raman Magsaysay Award for the Jaipur foot. And the doctor on duty in Vijay Hospital came up to me and said, he says, look, God has sent you a Messiah. So I said, what's this? He says, it's a Jaipur foot. I said, so what? He says, this is a foot that is going to change your life. And I just laughed at him. I said, come on, doc, now don't try to sell stories to me. He says, no, I have a very strong feeling. So it is what they say कि कई बार दवाओं में वो असर नहीं होता है जितने दुआओं में होता है. Sometimes medicines don't do the miracle, but people connected with medicine do the miracle for you. So he told me, he says, go meet Dr. P.K. Sethi. I came down to Mumbai, and that was the time he had won the award. So he was a very busy person at that time, and I wrote a letter to him saying that I want to meet you, doc. Instantly, I was called to Jaipur, went and met him. And the first thing what I asked him was, doc, can I dance again? And he said, yeah, why not? That's simple. I said, simple? With an artificial limb, do you think I'll be able to dance? He says, yes, of course. I said, doc, but I do Bharatnatyam. Bharatnatyam means footwork. And he actually demonstrated an adava in front of me. He says, is this Bharatnatyam? Is this what you want to do? And I said, yes, doc. I said, how do you know Bharatnatyam? He says, my daughter-in-law is a classical dancer. So don't think that people connected with the medical fraternity don't know about art and culture. And that's when he gave me a limb. He says, go back to Mumbai and start your practices. It took me almost about 3 years to get back to stage. And today what I say 3 years was not as simple as it looks. Because when I came back to Mumbai, there were people who came to my house. I don't know whether it was for sympathy or whether they wanted to meet me. But each time they came in and people said, oh, you wanted to become a dancer. Oh, you wanted to become a film actress. I know, but that's not destined. But you are intelligent, you can do your post-graduation and you're very smart, you can, they had a lot of avenues opened for me. Like I always say in our country, the only thing that you get free is free advice. Whether you want it or you don't want it, people will walk up to your house, ring the doorbell, knock the door, they will tell you, do this, do that, do this, they have a list of alternates. So I always tell people, hello, I know what I have to do in life. You go back to your house, you have enough problems, go solve that first. You don't come and mess with my life. And people thought I was very arrogant at that time. But that was my defense mechanism. Because if I had not adopted that defense mechanism, I would not have been here. Because that is the most important part of life, is when people influence you, you may go the right way or you may go the wrong way. Fortunately, I took a decision not to listen to people, but I was very patient enough to understand what they were trying to say, because I decided what I wanted to do. And it took me almost about 2 years to dance. It was like starting from the scratch. And my dad used to go to the office, we used to shut the doors and we used to start practicing, me and my mother and my guru. And after 2 years is when I told my dad, I'm coming back to stage. And my dad said, are you crazy? You haven't even practiced. I said, Dad, I have put in my 2 years. And he says, when did this happen? So my mother said, behind closed doors. We didn't want to tell you because you're a loud mouth. You would have gone proclaiming to the world that my daughter is getting back to stage. And I still remember that Saturday when I was performing, it was absolute secrecy, but the papers carried a very beautiful article saying that loses a foot, walks a mile. And somewhere people just connected to this and they said, is Sudha back on stage? And when I came on stage that day is when I saw the entire auditorium was filled. And after the Ganapati Kaustubam, when I came on stage is when the 1,000 people stood up and said in one voice, welcome back, Sudha. I think I had won my battle. I had won my battle that day because it's very important not just to come on stage. The acceptance factor is very important. The fact that people love you, the fact that people want to accept you as you are, instills that confidence in you, and probably that is why I could come on stage and dance for about 3 hours non-stop. And that's when I created history. And after that, there was no looking back, because then I started doing a lot of dance performances. And this got the attention of the most eminent producer of South, Mr. Ramoji Rao. He wanted to make a film on my life story. And I was called to Hyderabad, and initially they had decided to cast some top heroine from Andhra because they wanted the film to sell. And when I went there, I spoke to him, and when I was narrating the stories, when the director decided that if I make this film, I make the film with you, or I don't make this film. And now this was a big challenge because I was not prepared for the film industry. And I came back to Mumbai, and as usual, the typical Hindu families where we sit and discuss, and my mother said no, my father said yes. So this went on for about 2-3 days, and my grandmother put a final call. She says, she's doing the film. And I did the film. And then Mayuri created history again. So I think these were things that were destined to happen. And after Mayuri also, people said, oh, the heroine has arrived. But again, I was termed as a one film wonder. They said, ऐसे लोग फिल्मों में नहीं चलते हैं. So don't have big dreams. One film hit, that's it, now go back. Now again, I was very disappointed. I said, then why did I have to come to this industry if I'm not going to be accepted as I am? And almost 6 years, I was unemployed. I was just sitting at home. And everybody, again, people came and told me, why are you sitting at home? You're so educated, why don't you do this? And somewhere I believed that if God has decided something for me, maybe this is a period that I need to wait. And I waited, thinking that something very good is going to happen. And that's when television happened in India. And it happened in a really big way. And I remember walking up to a producer and saying that I need work. Can you give me work? And he said, yeah, of course. And I thought it was one of those filmy promises. But within 10 days, I was called, and I became a part of the most popular television series called Junoon. If you people remember, most of you people who are coming in from India would remember Junoon. It was the biggest mega television series, and I was so proud to be a part of it. And then they say, not because I wanted to be a part of the industry, but I had no work. So I started working in television. And then in 2002 is when the magic happened, when I met Ekta Kapoor, and she offered me a role in Kahi Kisi Roos, where people still remember me as a lady with those big bindis and garish makeup. Yeah. And when I went and met her, and when I heard the story, I said, what role am I supposed to do? She said, you're doing the negative role. I said, are you sure? Because I don't look negative anyway. She says, yeah, but there's a lot of negativity within you, which I need to get it out. And that's how I became the most acclaimed negative actress. Probably she realized it, because when I see the series today, because it's being telecast, I actually feel that everybody, all of us have this negativity and positive elements in us. But maybe it's because of our culture that we try to push the negative elements inside and say, no, don't allow it to come out. But I was very fortunate that through my characters, all that negative elements comes out, and it comes out so convincingly that today I've been called the most iconic negative character on television. And even regarding my bindis, females, we have very little females out here, but they all must be knowing those lovely bindis that I kept putting, and that became a big craze in India. And thanks to all the men who supported these women, because they saw our serial at 11:30, Thank you so much. And probably that's the reason that we could all earn our money and save a lot of money. So that's how my life started. And then after that, each time I've been approached for positive roles, I start on a very positive note on most of my serials. But somewhere midway, the audience turn up and say that, "Arey, madam, maza nahi aa raha hai. Ghar todo na, bahu ko jalao na." So, and I just turn back and say, well, this is Kali Yug, boss. If this is what I have to do to earn my money, well, that is it. But a lot of women have been, I gave a lot of importance to saris, to bindis, to jewelry. So there were a lot of industries which started doing really well because of me. So I must thank my producer, Ekta Kapoor, because she's also a very dynamic lady. And probably that is the same dynamism which I also had. So when two dynamic people meet, I think they create magic on screen. And the magic still continues. And yes, the struggle has been there. But the only point that I want to say is, if we sit down and think about this, then nothing is going to work in our favor. It's very important that we need to have the guts to swim against the tide. Well, I don't really need to tell you to, I mean, you people have already, well settled in life, and like I said in the beginning itself, we are all dependent on you, because every month I have an issue with my chartered accountant, because he says कि आपको इतना टैक्स भरना है, ये एडवांस टैक्स भरना है, ये करना है, and I keep asking him, भैया कुछ तो बचाओ यार, इस गरीब के बारे में कभी तो सोचो. So this is what I keep asking all the chartered accountants. Can't we find out some via media? हमारे जैसे गरीबों पे थोड़ा सा तरस खाओ. That's all that we have to say, because like I just asked today, I think I asked you yesterday, what was the anthem of the chartered accountants? So she said, the anthem in short says that we are awake when the world sleeps. मैंने कहा वो तो ठीक है, आप तो awake हो, पर हमारी चैन की नींद क्यों बर्बाद कर रहे हो भाई? हमें भी तो चैन से सोने दो. But anyway, it was so wonderful being here. And yes, the journey, like I said, started off, I'm a very small, middle class family girl, but who was taught the values of life. So at the end of the day, for all of us to be successful, like today I see most of the children keep questioning their parents a little too much. Why, for what, ye kyun, wo kyun. But I always tell the kids, just believe in your parents, because they have seen more summers than you have. So if they say something, then it must be in the right context. So blindly just follow them, your life will be beautiful. Like I followed my parents, and today I'm very happy in the position that I have reached. So it's very important for all of us to take blessings of our parents. And after that, Nache Mayuri, Kahi Kisi Rose, and then came the next season of Nagin. And when we started Nagin, people said, Nagin? Nagin ki kahani kaun dekhta hai? But people watched Nagin season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5, season 6. And I was so happy that though I never played a Nagin, but I had all the Nagins in my house. So it was almost like it was like a zoo where we had all the animals sitting in my house, and I played the negative character, making all the Nagins dance to my tunes. So I think most of the characters that I have played have been negative, but they have been so popular. So I always say I'm one of those actresses that people love to hate. So that's what I carry back, because at the end of the day, irrespective of the fact, whatever awards I may have received, I think it is the unconditional love of people who truly love me, who keep blessing me and motivate me to go ahead in life, takes me one step higher, and also instills that confidence within me to try out something new in my life. So this has been my life in short, thanks to my parents. And of course, at this point of time, I have to mention the most important person in my life today, after my father, my husband, Mr. Ravi Dang. They always say behind every successful man there is a woman. But I'm sure most of the women here would agree saying that behind every successful woman is a man who allows us to dream, who allows us to dream, who allows us to cross the threshold of our houses to realize our ambitions. If they had not allowed, so it's a big salute, big thanks to all the men here. Thank you so much. Thanks for believing in us, thanks for trusting in us, and thanks for allowing us to go ahead in life. We are blessed, thanks to all of you. And it's been a beautiful seminar here today, though I missed out on most of the speeches, but I went around seeing Bahrain, and it's a beautiful place, away from the hustle bustle of Mumbai. Sitting here, we had this beautiful, peaceful 2 days of relaxation, and I take back golden memories from here when I go back, something that I will cherish all my life, never to forget. But I don't like saying the word goodbye, because we will definitely meet somewhere. Kahin na kahin zarur milenge, kisi na kisi roz. Thank you so much. This really means a lot to me. But I would be more happy if you have some questions to ask me. I think that will make the session a little more interesting instead of just me talking. So in case you have anything to ask me, please feel free. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Seen Nache Mayuri, and I still have those goosebumps watching those, and the blood stream coming out when you were practicing, and also still those memories are there. And kudos to you, this is inspiration then, and this is inspiration now. I want to just ask a question, because when you get into these difficulties, and when you said, even after your treatment, unemployed and all this, there's always a juggle between acceptance. When you accept things, you start getting it. But then when things doesn't go right, after a while you start thinking, why me? I want to know from you, this struggle between acceptance and why me. How did you deal with it so that, people can get some tips how to deal with the situation?
See, the question, why me, has never been answered. And it will never be answered. Because why me, the chosen one? There are two ways of looking at it. One, why me? Maybe because God wanted me to be the messenger. There's some purpose for me to spread this message to the specially challenged people or to the world. So if you see that in a very positive way, then great. Why me? But if you look at the negative aspect and keep asking, why me? Why did this happen to me? I think that is going to push you down. It's not going to take you further. Because if you have an answer for a question, then you might as well dwell into the question. So don't get into a zone where you don't have an answer. It's better you shut that door and try to open the doors, because what happens when your mind is stuck in something where you cannot find an answer, you might lose out on those opportunities which are opening in front of you because your mind is clogged. And acceptance, it's very important. First, we have to accept us in the position that we are. So once you accept yourself, you feel proud of the fact that, well, I am special and I am gifted, then you move ahead. Because when you question your individuality or your acceptance, then starts the iotas of doubts and question marks. And then when people start talking to you is when you start, that juggling, is it this way or is it not? Should I? Then those questions arises. So just when you say, I accept myself as I am, and this is the way I am going to be, life is going to be beautiful. Yes.
Very, very inspiring. And when I saw your dance initially, I didn't even know you were disabled. So really amazing. Even my sister is a Bharatanatyam dancer, so I really follow this art. I'm really fascinated by it. My question is on the balance between when you realize that you know you're too right. Like for example, I know I'm right, but when does that cross to a point when you know it's arrogance? Or you pointed out that at some points I realized that I was arrogant. When do you come to a balance that, okay, is there somebody who you talk to kind of justify I am maybe crossing the limits?
See, one normally doesn't tend to cross limits if you come from a family which has inculcated the right culture and values within you. It's very important. Because like when I said I was arrogant, it was not in the negative sense of arrogance. That was a defense mechanism that I had to adopt. Because if I had not adopted that, probably I would not have been as strong as I am today. So that was being arrogant for a certain purpose, there's nothing wrong in that. But it should not become a part of your life or a way of life. So once you know that you're crossing, I think as an individual, we always assess ourselves. Back after a day's work, when you sit back, they always say spend that 5 minutes for yourself to analyze what you have done, where you have gone wrong, and whether you have crossed the limits. So being arrogant, I personally feel arrogance is a very abstract term. It has to be used in a very positive way. And once you know that, I think life is going to be simple. But they say when you're very successful, arrogance takes over. And that is absolutely wrong. The more successful you are, the more grounded you have to be. Because they say it's easy to digest failures, but it's very, very difficult to digest success. So that's very important. Yes, sir.
One thing I would suggest, since you talked about taxation,
Yes.
please shift to Bahrain. Bahrain, we don't have any taxation, so you don't have to pay any tax for all your future incomes that you make in Bahrain, for sure. But coming back to the question.
कर लो बात. मैं एक गरीब एक्ट्रेस, आई एम आस्किंग फॉर एम्प्लॉयमेंट इन इंडिया. अब आप बोल रहे हो बाहर ना जाओ, तो मैं तो टोटली अनएम्प्लॉयड हूँ. देन आई डोंट नीड अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट आफ्टर दैट.
मैडम,
सर पैसे नहीं होंगे तो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट का क्या करूँ मैं?
बहरीन में भी आप कमाएंगे मैडम.
सर यहाँ कुछ नहीं है काम करने को.
अरे मत पूछे, सब लोग एक एक देंगे तो फिर कितना हो जाए. खैर वो दूसरी टॉपिक है, उस पर बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे.
यहाँ कुछ नहीं है सर, हम बेचारे नौकरी करते हैं.
Okay, my question is, when did you started believing yourself? Belief came back to you because it is a difficult thing what
Yes,
happened to you.
yes.
When you started believing back that you can do something.
See, there are two things. I was at a point of time when I was too young to even understand the impact of this. But somewhere, my grandmother had told me one thing in life. She says, when everything goes against you, there is someone above you. Just believe in him. Don't doubt him. So that was the point that actually stayed back in my mind. I said, I don't need to talk to people down. I don't need to ask questions down. I said, you have done it. Now you find the answer. And that worked for me. So I always say there is somebody above us who controls us. That implicit faith, the moment I realized that is when I knew that I was here to stay and he will support me and show me the way to reach my goal. So I think that's very important.
Hello,
Yes,
ma'am.
sir.
Inspirational story, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have been a 90s child. Okay.
Yes.
And I have been watching वागले की दुनिया, submissive serials.
Yes.
It was enjoyable.
Yes.
पर आजकल ऐसा हो गया है कि it is so dramatized. जैसे आपकी आंखें इतनी बार दिखाएंगे कि कोई डरता नहीं हो तो भी डर जाएगा थोड़े टाइम के बाद. It is so dramatic. So do you think the audience tastes have changed towards sadistic, I mean, too much dramatization? I mean, do you think it has gone? Do you think the society itself loves controversy?
सर मैंने आपको अभी बोला हमारे पेट पे लात मत मारिए सर. मैं अब क्या गुनाह किया है मैंने? क्या गुनाह किया है? जिस आंखों की आपने बात की, मेरी आंखें बोलती है, बहुत ज्यादा बोलती है. In fact, after Nagin, I was given the title of overacting की दुकान. You know, so कुछ लोग कमा रहे हैं सर, उससे कमाने दीजिए ना. And let me tell you one thing about television or about entertainment media. Realistic theatre, realistic films कोई नहीं देखता है. जब तक घर में कलेश ना हो, जब तक सास चिल्लाए ना, जब तक सास अच्छी साड़ी पहने ना, जब तक सास अच्छे गहने ना पहने, कौन देखेगा सर? कोई नहीं देखता. Because the next day the woman will talk, you know what? You saw Sudhachandran, look at the sari that she wore. अरे जरा ढूंढ ना कौन से शॉप में मिल रहा है वो. So see, that is what takes it. See, we are in the entertainment media, so a little bit of hamming and little bit of unrealistic cinema and theatre always works. And true to yourself, even in the 90s, when your family must be watching these over-the-top dramas, you must have definitely come and peeped and watched it once at least. True to yourself. कुछ भी हो देखा होगा ना, हो गई बात खत्म. That's it. Yes, sir.
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, first of all, thank you for the wonderful performance yesterday.
Thank you.
Amazing it was.
Thanks.
So, ma'am, I have a quick thing. Actually, I'll just take a couple of minutes, guys. So I was born in 1994, but and I think कहीं किसी रोज 2004 के आसपास खत्म हुआ.
जी बिल्कुल.
But still I have seen that with my mother. और जब भी हम देखते हैं, so Ramola Sikon, that role. So my brother is there as well. So
Hi, he was laughing the most.
yes, you can guess.
जी.
So Ramola Sikand, we used to make fun like in some
Fun?
manner. Fun each other. Yeah, you are like him, her. That's,
Oh, were you like me? That's Ramola Sikand with a mooch and dadi, man.
now he has. Earlier he never used to have. Then, so उस time पे actually while we are watching the show in a funny way. Anyway, so my mother always says कि ना ये Sudhachandran है. She is a dancer. And she is such a big person, and as so many achievements she used to tell us. I always think, such a negative person, because I was a child, such a negative person, but how can she be a dancer, such a prominent person, but still a negative role, because I was around the age of 9, 10, 11, 12, let's say that. Or there was an interview of yours once, जिसमें आपने कहा था, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, you were passing through an airport, किसी ने बोला कि ना there's Ramola Sikand, don't go near her, she's such kind of lady. ऐसा आपने कोई experience बताया था एक बार.
Most of the people used to stay away from me. किसी को मेरे चमड़ी को छूना था कि ये किस चमड़ी की बनी हुई है. And there were people who said, Baba, don't talk to her, she will come to your house and she will destroy the family. So that was the impact we had. And I still remember a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, she had gone to a furniture shop to buy some furnitures, and she saw this beautiful rocking chair. And her daughter went, she said, Mama, don't buy that rocking chair. That auntie who comes at night, no, she sits in that rocking chair and then starts killing people the next day. So she could not buy that rocking chair. So this was the impact that this character actually left. That's what I said, like, papi pet ka sawal hai.
But
Positive.
उसके बाद actually, so when I had listened to that interview, उसके बाद after that, I listened to a couple of interviews, whether there is such a change between the character you play and the person you are. And I realized after looking at a couple of interviews, yes, you are such a person. So, and since that age, you have been an inspiration, one can be a different person on the character professionally, but one can be such a good person and achieve such heights. And my mother used to tell me that unki Jaipur foot hai. I am from Jaipur only.
Okay.
So Jaipur, she is using Jaipur foot, and I saw your dancing videos as well. How a person can dance with Jaipur foot, because we have seen other people as well. So you have been an inspiration since that day. So
I need to tell you one thing in this, because when I met Dr. P.K. Sethi and he told me to go back and start dancing, I made sure that he came to witness my first public performance with my Jaipur foot. And he was sitting on the first row. And he asked, after the program, he came up and said, I'm confused, which foot was it? I said, Doc, come on, you gave me the Jaipur foot. So you know what he said? He said, I couldn't say no to you because you were so sweet in front of me. So probably those were those magical words that created the magic. Like you said, it's not the Jaipur foot. It's also the person that you meet at what point of time. That's also very important.
And just ma'am, my wife is here as well, so Sakshi. And since yesterday she has been questioning, Sudha ma'am का session कब है? Sudha ma'am का कब है? Today morning I forgot to tell her. She was angry कि बताया नहीं तुम्हें, मुझे भी चलना है. So I went and picked her up just for this session especially.
अच्छा हुआ आप लेकर आ गए, नहीं तो आज की रोटी तो आज की आपकी गई बॉस.
So ma'am,
आज तो आपको खाना नहीं मिलना था रात में.
Rather than questioning you, I want to thank you for being an inspiration for me since so many years. Thank you.
That really means a lot to me.
Thank you. We will have now one question from a woman member, Karishma. Yes.
मेरा कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है, मेरा आपको कॉम्प्लीमेंट है. आई हैव अ कॉम्प्लीमेंट फॉर यू.
जी सर.
ये सब मुझे बोल रहे हैं टू थैंक यू, क्योंकि इन सब गरीब लोगों का दिन बना दिया आपने, बिकॉज दिस सेंचुरी बिलोंग्स टू विमेन. व्हेन यू सेड दैट बिहाइंड एवरी सक्सेसफुल वुमन देयर इज अ मैन, तो ये सब लोग इतने खुश हुए, तो मैं आपको कॉम्प्लीमेंट देना.
ये लोग खुश हुए तो आप खुश नहीं हुए क्या?
Hi, good evening, Sudhaji.
Hi, good evening.
Karishma, I wanted to tell you that I had the honor of learning Bharatnatyam from you in your house in Villaparle, because that's where I used to also live.
Oh my God, okay.
Yes,
it's a small world.
It is, and I'm so thrilled to see you.
Oh my God, it's such a pleasure meeting you.
it is.
So you must have been beaten and banged by me many times if you were a student. You were a very strict teacher.
Several times, and used to have that wooden thing and used to beat.
Yes,
on
yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
See where you are today?
Yes, so my only question to you is, first of all, it's such an honor. I'm so thrilled to see you.
Thank you.
After all these TV serials and movies, do you still get a chance to practice Bharatnatyam? And will we ever be, have a chance to see you perform?
Of course, I'm regularly practicing and I'm performing too. Because if I stop dancing, then I stop living. My life will end there.
Thank you so much. So great to see you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Boliye, bindas boliye.
Yes, and I will not say no to him because he's my husband.
We are missing one of our mentor from the Bahrain chapter, CA Kapil Batra Saab, who is watching this program on YouTube. And he has a question for you. Sudhaji, how much playing a negative role continuously for several years affects the actor's personality?
How does it affect, sir? When you get back home, you have a husband. आप कैसे नेगेटिव घर में रह सकते हो? घर में आके once I look at my husband like this, says hello. ये सब एक्टिंग ना वहाँ जाके करना, इधर नहीं. So बस, then you become normal. You say, okay, क्या खाओगे आप? खाना बनाओ, खाना रखो. So then life changes.
Sudhaji,
Yes.
one thing, as my colleague, the previous chairperson, Mahesh, mentioned, this being live cast on YouTube as we speak. My sister, who's a chartered accountant by profession, but also a Bharatnatyam student, and as well as she's done a BA in Honours from the Gandharva University, studying 7 years for Bharatnatyam as a student. So she tells me that she has sent special thanks to you because you appeared in her 4th standard English textbook and you were the inspiration for us to take up Bharatnatyam as a practice, and she was successful in that. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's been my privilege that log bolte hai ki she is a real life heroine. But I'm so happy that the next generation is reading about me, learning about me. So I'm very privileged and honored to say that I'm a real life heroine and a real life heroine too. That's more important. Thank you so much. Thanks, dear
Thank you
sister.
so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful year ahead. Great 2023. And have a blast, and we really enjoyed this trip. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am, we will request you to stay on stage for 2 minutes. And
Sir, आपको कुछ पूछना था? Don't go home disappointed. बोलिए ना.
Madam, it is not easy that we get inspirations like you. It will never happen like that. I mean, accidents happens to so many people. Many come out, most of them don't come out. My question to you is that how art played a role in your life? Because they say art is form of God.
Very important
and,
question.
We are
yes.
chartered accountants. Most of us, exceptions like taking music or art, we are all left-brained people. So art is like a right brain. It's like to see the life as a whole, as a
It's actually a
global
stress
canvas.
buster. Let me tell you that. Connecting yourself with art helps you. You connect to another world. See, when you actually delve into it, like when I dance, I even forget the fact that I have lost my leg. Because the passion towards dancing, and I always say, cultivate one music, dance, koi bhi, it's a therapy. Like you say, you all are so stressed out most of the time. Try looking at an alternate hobby. It could be singing, it could, you pursue your interests. Because everybody is born with one interest, other than your professional life. Spare time for that, and you see the difference in your life. I think that will change your life.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
That was truly inspiring, and your grit and determination and the way you made your comebacks is not just inspiring but also contagious. Thank you so much. And we would like to acknowledge the presence of your husband, Mr. Ravi Dang, because as you said, he's been with you throughout this journey. We would like to have. You can. Thank you. We would also like to thank CA Subramaniam Ranganathan, who was very instrumental in actually getting us connected to Sudhaji and made today's evening possible. Thank you, Ranga. I would now request our chairperson, CA Sharmila Sheth, to come on stage and express our gratitude and thanks to Sudhaji for this wonderful, wonderful evening and inspiring us. Thank you so much. Sharmila. Thank you, ma'am, once again. We had a great session.